Next, we'll hear remarks from State Representative Shane Hernandez. Representative Hernandez is completing his first term in the Michigan House, representing the 83rd House District. He grew up in the Croswell area and now lives in Fort Hern with his wife and 2 children. Representative Hernandez is a member of the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules and the Appropriations Committee. Please join me in a warm thumb electric welcome for State Representative Shane Hernandez.
Thank you. Happy to be here. The words "get it over with" weren't my words. It must have been the congressman's words, because I've got a car full of candy headed to Brown City Parade shortly. So, but it is a pleasure to be here for my second year at this event. And last year I didn't know what to expect, and it's just phenomenal to see a group like this with the board right here willing to answer questions in an organization like this. I'll echo what Paul said. Just an excellent relationship with Dallas and with the Rural Electrification Group in Lansing, open line of communication. I do want to talk briefly of what's going on in Lansing. I'm on all budget committees, so if you want to talk policy, we'll wait for another rep to come up. But I chair the transportation budget, and I find that no matter what group I'm talking to, no matter what their interest is, everybody's interested in what's going on with roads and what's going on with the budget in Michigan. So in my first term, I had that transportation committee given to me, and I gladly take that challenge on. Tuesday, we will pass the budget for the state of Michigan, and it will be early for the 8th year in a row. And the budget doesn't have to be passed until the end of September, but this governor has made it a priority to pass it in June. And if you think about that, there's one group that really benefits from that, and that's our schools. If you don't pass that budget until September, you've started school and they don't know what their budget for the year is. So for 8 years in a row, we will pass this budget in June and early. And so with that said, this budget is the biggest increase to the per pupil foundation allowance in our schools in 15 years. And it is the highest investment in our roads in the history of Michigan, all while being balanced and early. I was particularly proud of the House budget, which did both of those things while being lower than last year's budget. We have a negotiation process with the Senate and the governor, and many of you may have heard, we got really good news recently from a revenue estimating conference that the state of Michigan brought in $500 million more than expected. That is a great sign for our economy. And well, if you know me, you know I'm a small government guy who my first thought is give it back. I do think there's a few things that those dollars, if we spend them in the right area, are crucial, and that we've heard from you guys that we need to use those dollars. And number one is our roads. $300 million of that money is going as additional dollars to our roads. Now, we were going to have the highest road budget in the history of Michigan without that $300 million. We're putting $300 million additional in. And that is the second time in 1 year we've put additional funding into roads. So that'll bring it up to $475 million above what was planned. The other 2 areas that I think are really important that there's going to be dollars going to are skilled trades and school safety. And those are going to be 2 priorities in this budget. So it's clear Michigan's on the right track. We have a balanced, responsible budget, and it's one of the reasons we're seeing a lot of this growth for Michigan. I think that the future looks good, the future looks great for our school aid budget, and it's clear that legislators are now recognizing that the roads are a priority and expect to see that investment there. And it isn't just the roads, it's things like Paul talked about, our rail, and that drives agriculture in this area, drives our industry in this area, and I've worked really hard to make sure that the freight rail budget is intact and those things are invested in. As for Thumb Electric Co-op, I do want to say one thing about that, and we talk a lot in Lansing that, amongst those who believe in small government, that the government that's closest to you is the government that works best for you. And I learned something real quick in my year and a half in Lansing about Thumb Electric, and that everyone here should be very proud to be a member of a group like this, and very grateful that they're part of a co-op that is close to you and works for you. The response to your concerns, and most importantly, they showed a level of interest displayed at this event today. When we have a power outage, the phones ring off the hook in offices in Lansing. They probably ring off the hook in offices in DC as well. And even when there aren't outages, we get a lot of calls about inaccuracy in my billing, concerns about my meter reading, general complaints about their service. And the one thing I can tell you is very few, if any of those calls come from Fund Electric Co-op members. So you should be proud of this group and the work that we do. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be here and the invite to speak again. Thank you.